So here we are, live streaming. And I want to talk to you about, today what I want to talk to you about is overcoming the trauma response, which has a myriad of symptoms. If you're living in a trauma response, you may not even know it. You may not even know it because it really messes with your thinking. It messes with your sense of self. And you probably have some patterns of guilt and shame that you're holding on to that are clouding the whole thing. So today I want to basically let you know about the symptoms of living in a trauma response so you can identify whether you are or not. So the trauma response typically manifests as fight or flight, freeze or fawn. Okay. The fight is the anger, the outburst, the controlling, the narcissism, being a bully, being explosive. Okay? Really not being able to control your outbursts. That's the fight response. Flight response is more like workaholic, where you're always going away, you're going to work. You're not going to handle the emotional content in your day-to-day, in your family, for example, or your relationships. Okay? Overthinking, getting caught in the mind, difficulty making decisions, difficulty sitting still, anxiety, panic, OCD, perfectionism. Okay, these are all parts of the flight response. Now the freeze response, one of the ones I see most common, is a real difficulty making decisions with the brain fog and feeling stuck, right? Frozen in place. Disassociating from your emotions and from the content in your life. Isolated, feel real isolated. You may feel numb. Okay, and this is pretty debilitating in terms of taking action. The fawn is another really common one, which is being that people pleaser, not being rooted in your own frame, lacking your own identity, not having good, strong boundaries, being overwhelmed frequently, and codependent. So again, not being rooted in your own power will lead you to grasp for things outside of yourself. So this is just a short list of the symptoms that you may be experiencing if you're living in a trauma response. If you experience trauma in your childhood or in your life at some point, you could very well be living this out on a cycle, on a pattern, over and over. And it's difficult to break that cycle or pattern if you're not aware of it. So this first step is about awareness. What's going on, right? Let's get it out of our head. Let's get it on paper. Let's speak our truth. So you can start the process of healthy expression again and start to actually feel it, to heal it, and get these things out of you, right? Let them dissolve. Otherwise, they have the tendency to really stick around. Now, oftentimes the case is people don't want to experience the emotions that are underneath this trauma response. And that happens to be one of the keys to releasing yourself from this perpetual pattern. It's feeling the emotion. Emotion has a very important role of teaching us internally of how we want to think, how we want to feel, how we want to behave. And if we're constantly repressing those and not addressing them at the root, then they will continue to control us in, odd ways, in ways that are really difficult to explain oftentimes. And so, it can lead to this sense of despair that I just don't understand what's going on with me and I can't express it and I can't get to the bottom of it. Understand that you have an emotional guidance system and it will help you through that as soon as you start to make time for yourself to actually feel your emotions and breathe. Right? Many of us aren't making time for that. We're locked in this perpetual urgency mode where everything is urgent. There's no time for the important things, spending time with loved ones or goal setting or meticulous, action steps, the small action steps, right? Instead, we're just overwhelmed a lot of the time and in this state of brain fog. So feel it to heal it. The next step I would say would be to reframe it. Start writing on paper how this is actually a stepping stone, how, it's perfect for your point of awakening that you're having now. It's educating you on how you're going to act going forward. Make this a stepping stone and start to write about how, failure is part of this process, right? And you are just like other people who would express themselves and find themselves in a pattern like this if they too experience the trauma that you did. So understand that, okay? You're not a failure, but you're experiencing some things that are really hurting you on the inside, and they need to be expressed and worked through. First with your emotional expression, and then, cognitively we can start to reframe this thing. And third is just to embrace. The concept of embracing everything has been really pivotal and expansive for me and for my clients. Embracing instead of resisting. See, resisting is really what makes this take longer to heal. In fact, while we resist, we're really in a non-healing phase. So this is about embracing everything. Embrace it as important for you, important self-discovery. Embrace it as part of the process. Embrace it as something that's bringing a greater degree of self-knowledge and self-love so that you can flow those qualities out into the world. So that's about it for this short live. It's just educational to get the word out there about how a trauma response could potentially be affecting you in your life.